In today's showcase video, we're going to be talking about a theme called Artbook Next. Now, Artbook Next was created by me, and it's useful across ESD as well as Batocera. You'll also see it on other distributions like Newly and Rocknix. Now, this theme essentially has a lot of different options. So right now we're looking at it on a 16:9 display. It has a few different aspect ratios that it supports. So 16:9 is here. You can see 4:3 here up top. Just added this option here, which is a vertical 3.5, 3:5 aspect ratio. That's really elegant. And then there's also 1:1. And we also have 8:7 support, which is useful on things like the Retroid Pocket and the Ayaneo Pocket DMG. In addition to those, it also supports 16:9, 3:2, and 19 by 5:9, as well as some super widescreen resolutions as well. Now, from an options perspective, it's pretty extensive. So let's jump into the settings here. UI settings, variants. So there's a few variants here. The first is metadata and box art, and this is your default. And essentially what it's going to show here is your game on the left here in a nice text list view. The box art of the game here. The video will load essentially as well. And then metadata for the game here at the bottom. And how it displays all of these pieces of information will depend on the aspect ratio. So if I go over here to 4:3, for example, let's go to UI settings, change this to the default box art setting here, and go into here. And you could see it's a little bit less metadata, but it's essentially sized to the screen size. So in this case, a 4-inch, essentially 4:3 screen. And that obviously changes depending on the aspect ratio, but it's pretty clean overall. Now, the next variant is called metadata and screenshot and marquee. And what this will do is it's going to show, again, the game list that we just looked at before. Let's change it to that. And then over here on the right side, it's going to show the screenshot of the game, its logo or marquee here in the bottom right, and then the metadata of the game below. So you can see how nice things look with it. Now if I go to UI settings here, the next option is a variant on that. Instead of the logo, it's going to show the box art of the game. So if I back out here, you'll see that change over to the box art. So these are all just essentially subtle changes on the overall theme. If I go to UI settings, the next option here is metadata and mix image. This is very similar to metadata and box art in that at the artwork side of things, essentially what it's going to show is the mix image that ESD naturally generates in place where the box art would have shown. And then when you stop on it for a moment, the video will load up. All right, UI settings. The last one here is list box art. Well, there's a few others, sorry. There's many in this theme. List box art essentially takes away metadata completely and just shows big, beautiful box art here over on the right side. And when you pause for a moment on a game, it then shows the video in this really nice, big, immersive window. And then the last option is essentially screenshot plus marquee. And what this will do is it's going to show the screenshot of the game and its logo on top of it. So as you scroll through, you get this really nice, it kind of looks like almost like an album cover. That was the intent anyway. All right. Now, those are all the variants, but you're going to see a few others in here. Now, one thing people have definitely asked for a lot on Artbook was to be able to turn off the help menu and have the theme adapt to it. So I've added these variants here into Artbook Next that turn the help system off. So all of these help off variants are essentially mirrors of the variants we looked at above, just with the help system turned off. So if I were to go into the, let's say, my favorite, which is the marquee screenshot one. Now at the bottom of the screen, you'll see I have essentially more space to show more of the game list because we removed the help system. Sweet. So those are all the variants for Artbook Next. Next, there's a multitude of color schemes. Now the way color schemes work on Artbook Next is that it's both a color scheme plus a system image repository. So if you look at the dark on the front that essentially refers to the color itself. And then the word in the brackets refers to the type of image that's going to display. So the default out of the box is dark screenshots. And essentially that shows these screenshots on the system view. And you can see the overall system color is this kind of a darker gray. Now, if I were to change that over to, let's say, dark noir, this is going to change the system view images to a set that was created by 10 levels. And 10 levels create this beautiful set of noir images that were inspired by some of the great noir themes for Batocera. The next image set is Circuit. And this is an image set that I created to pull the circuit board from each system that's represented and kind of make a representation of that. So that's what this is here. And then if I go into the next one, this was created by a community member, and it's a really beautiful outline set of artwork, very colorful, and essentially just displays those colorful images there. And then the last one is original screenshots. This just shows some of the original artwork I created from a while back. Now if I go into color scheme, you're going to see that there's additional color schemes. There's an OLED color scheme, again with the same image sets available, a light color scheme. This actually looks really nice. Let's go into light screenshots. And you'll see here on the game list view, it's really just a kind of a bright color scheme. And then we have SteamOS. This essentially mirrors the color scheme from the Steam operating system. So if you're using this theme on a Steam Deck, this color scheme matches the colors from SteamOS Big Picture mode perfectly, so that it essentially looks like it's one interface at the end of the day. That was the goal. All right, then we have a SNES color scheme, because my favorite system of all time is the Super Nintendo. And this is a purple color scheme. So if you have like a purple device, it looks really, really awesome. Colors that way. And then we have a Famicom color scheme. This one's pretty neat, because what it does is it makes all of the colors of the system really match the kind of gold and red color scheme of the Famicom. You could see here, even in the system view, it just makes everything this golder color. You know, if I go into the game list view here, it essentially matches pretty well to what the Famicom color scheme would have been on the system itself. All right, so that's the color schemes. Now you'll notice at the bottom of color schemes, there's another option here called custom. And I have a video that I'll link up here, the right side here, that shows you how to create a custom color scheme for ArtBook Next, as well as use that customization to create custom system artwork that will display here in the system view, as well as use custom logos. So there's a whole video dedicated to that, and I'll point that out in the description below, as well as up here on screen. Now, the last settings here are around font size. Now, ArtBook Next is built specifically for these smaller screen devices, so I have a set of font sizes available to make it easier to view this across many different screens. So by default, it's set to medium out of the box. And on a screen like this, it looks pretty good if your eyesight is good. But then if you wanted it a little bit bigger, you can go to large, and you'll see the font size changes just a little bit, makes it easier to scan. And let's say you're on a really tiny screen device, you can set it to extra large, and then you could see the font sizes changes accordingly to that as well. And everything scales really nice across each screen, so it makes it like workable across many devices. And then if you're, let's say, on a TV from far away, there's a small font size here, which really shines if you're looking at like a large TV in your living room. You get a lot more games here on the left, and then really nice metadata here on the bottom. So yeah, that's ArtBook Next. And like I was showing before, this works across many different aspect ratios. So here it is on a 1:1 display. And if I were to go into a game list view, you could see the game list adapts to fit that aspect ratio pretty well with the metadata as well. And yeah, it's essentially built to do that across all these different variants. So this would be 8:7, and you could see here the metadata and description is a little bit smaller, but it scales well to this size screen, so you could easily read and see where everything is. the one that I had fun with recently was this 040 from Magic X. And if I go into the game list view here, you can see it's just a vertical list. And as you stop on a game, it displays the video here at the top. So yeah, it's built to scale perfectly across many different aspect ratios, and has a lot of different artwork options as well to make it look really, really nice. So yeah, if you have any questions about Artbook Next, just let me know. And as I was saying before, if you want to customize it, there's a really cool video in the description below on how to do that as well. All right, folks. Thanks so much. See you next time.